present this, we have amongst us Mr. Anthem Hayek, co-founder of Hercules and Anthem Gold. As a director of strategic development and marketing with European-based Gold Money, Mr. Hayek has helped develop and implement the current business model, overseeing marketing and product development efforts which resulted in an increase of total value held by the company from $1 million in 2002 to $368 million by 2008. Today, the company holds over $2 billion in client assets. Apart from being the board member and CEO, Mr. Hercules is the CEO for Anthem Gold, Anthem Vault, and he was raised by a legendary gold bug and precious metals pioneer, James Hugh Blanchard III, who helped restore Americans' right to own gold and also founded Rare Coin and Bullion Company, Blanchard and Company, once the world's largest. Mr. Hayek, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Anthem Hayek Blanchard, but I will go by Hayek very happily. My parents named me after a Nobel economist. My middle name, Frederick August Hayek, who believed in denationalization of currency and money. So I've got a special treat for you all. The first 25 of you that come to the booth, I'll give you free Bitcoin, and I'll teach you how to set up a wallet properly. So if any of you are interested in that, see me after, and we'll get that done today. I'll give the first one of you $100 worth of Bitcoin, the rest $25 worth. So definitely come see me and check that out. So and I've got a big announcement at the end of the presentation that I'll save. So just leave that kind of cliffhanger in there. So anyway, thank you again. I am the CEO co-founder of a company called Hercules. It's a supply chain software company. We prove the data integrity of anything by tying into the data integrity of Bitcoin and making it user-friendly to access this integrity. So we came about Hercules about a year and a half ago by mistake. We were solving a problem that we ultimately realized was thousands of years old, and that was, how do you prove what's in the vault or what's in the warehouse to someone else and to yourself over a sustained period of time? And ultimately, this has been a problem that's plagued humanity. And our team ended up figuring out that we had to basically tie into Bitcoin as a data integrity point. So I come from the gold industry. My parents did help to make gold ownership legal. Believe it or not, in the United States, it was illegal for 41 years to own gold as a U.S. citizen. So from 1933 through 1974, U.S. citizens were disallowed by their government to own bullion coins, bullion bars. You could only own jewelry. So kind of a bizarre time. But my parents helped to push for legalization, paid for a plane to fly over Richard Nixon's inauguration as president, said legalize gold, and ended up founding what they turned into together as the largest gold retail company in the world, Blanchard and Company, that they sold about 30 years ago. So my dad passed away in '99. I'm second generation gold family, obviously. So I started in what was called e-payments back then in 2002. There wasn't a such thing as fintech, certainly not cryptocurrency or blockchain at that point. And I did work with a company called Gold Money, because my dad was a 6 shareholder, so I wanted to help continue the legacy going. And I was able to step in as a lowly customer service rep, and in a short time became the director of strategic marketing, development, board secretary, basically ran strategic point at Gold Money. And got to see it go to cash flow positive in 2006, a few years after being on board. And then the company had a successful exit in 2015 with the Soros Brothers Group in Toronto Stock Exchange. So I do have some good experience from early to late stage, and I can kind of shed a little bit of light. So I ended up starting my own company with my wife Cynthia. We co-founded a company, or an operating company called Anthem Vault about 7.5 years ago. So Bitcoin was invented January 3rd, 2009. We founded our company February 11, 2011. And really was always intrigued by Bitcoin and blockchain, really kind of the ability to have data integrity. And so we formed this company, Anthem Vault, as a simple gold silver savings account. People could buy gold and silver go to the website, it's anthemvault.com, and it's like a savings account for gold and silver. Lloyd's and Brooks help. And we started innovating about 5 years ago in blockchain tech. So I was intrigued very early on. I got into Bitcoin, fortunately, very early. The technology is nascent. It still is nascent. Bitcoin only runs about 6-7 transactions a second. Just to put it in perspective, it's not about speed, it's about security. And so we'll get into that in a second. So, but with Anthem Vault, we started innovating, like I said, 5 years ago. We built what Reuters covered 4 years ago as the first ever fully gold-backed cryptocurrency. It was called Independence Coin. So if you go INN Coin, Anthem Vault, Reuters, it'll pop up. It was July 16th to 14th they published. So we wanted to get in really early, and we did. For the techies out there, we forked X11 script, Darkcoin back then. It's called Dash now. And had 10 million tokens mineable by downloading a free miner that they had to open up by opening up a free Anthem Vault account. So we were able to lower our acquisition costs by upwards of 95% plus. And 4 months after launching this new token product, and then we started developing a full-fledged version that we called High Gold. That Financial Times covered, big story in 2015, Business Insider covered in 2015. We went live with the beta in June of 15, May of 15 roughly. We had 500 plus users on it. We basically had created a platform that tied off of Bitcoin, which is called Counterparty. You find there are a lot of intermediary layers on top of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is expensive. Right now I think it's about 15 US cents to put an entry into this digital notary, which is really what Bitcoin is ultimately. It date timestamps every 10 minutes. So it's like a notary, like a heartbeat notary that you can digitally reference. So our team built on top of Counterparty. We had these great users who were really excited about it. Basically, we had a checking account, High Gold, on top of our savings account in Anthem Vault. So we were about a month or so from going live, and U.S. Treasury decided to designate our business, because no one had done this before. So our business ended up getting designated as a money service business, and that caused us to start losing bank relationships, namely our 2 of our top 6. And that caused us to have to rethink, because we had operating precious metal brands. We bought the largest precious metal dealer that deals with Bitcoin, called Amagi Metals. BitPay acknowledged them the largest Bitcoin processor, their largest client in 2014 in an International Business Times article. So we bought them in a distressed sale. The owner they got doxed a little bit, and so it was one of those good situations for us. But we realized that all of a sudden we needed to do something. We needed to roll out this technology. So we decided to spin it out. We found a suitor, a platform called banktothefuture.com, which has done $500 million in token raises, and we ended up raising over-raised what we asked. We were asking for $500,000 US. We got 648,000 from 123 people in 45 days last year, May, June. So I bring all this up because it does tie back into Hercules, because it's important to understand, I think, the narrative, because we have experience in shipping product, of building business models, business strategy, executing on them, shipping more product, and ultimately out-competing. So that was definitely the history that we've had in general, being early, being first, or even if we're not earliest and first, still persevering. So we realized in doing this gold product that at this point, this was last year, there were over 100 different companies that had pressed some kind of gold token, or silver token, or gold silver mining token, or a copper token, or some kind of basket token. So the ultimate age-old question, how can you trust what's in the vault? How can you trust what's there? How can you trust it's going to be there? So we started thinking about it. We started looking what some other people had tried to do before, and just didn't get any uptake on, and just studied the business models. And we realized we needed it to tie to Bitcoin, whatever solution this was going to be, because it had to have data integrity. We needed to ensure that we made it easy for people to use, or else no one would use it. And we needed to ensure that it was its own separate entity, because otherwise there wouldn't be a big enough community to scale. So one of the things to keep in mind, I think yesterday it was mentioned how programmers are really expensive ultimately. They're really highly sought after, valuable assets. And so Bitcoin, Ethereum, the programming cost is zero. And they have no operating cost either. So, I mean, there's a reason Bitcoin's valued at about 140 billion market cap. IBM's valued, I think, 132 billion market cap. And IBM has to pay its programmers hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And IBM can version software whenever it wants. So there is no consensus. It's their consensus. So ultimately, it's really important to really understand the attributes when you're thinking blockchain. So it's really public blockchain. We're really talking permissionless blockchains, because really permission blockchains are just a bunch of databases. They don't really provide you with any data integrity. Basically, the same people you've always been doing business with will still know that you'll do business with them. Great, what else is new? And no one else on the outside will still be able to trust any of your information. So that's the reality. I hate to break it to hope there's not anyone from Hyperledger or IBM, or you're not going to try to knife me after this, but that's the reality. There's no data integrity. So, and the same goes with Oracle or Microsoft or any of these solutions. They've all been hacked. Like, just look at SAP and Google SAP hack, and just watch. I mean, the US Pentagon hacked. RSA, all they do is create security keys, hacked. Deloitte, hacked. Largest credit company in the United States, Equifax, hacked. And those are the ones that have enough integrity and sophistication to admit they're hacked. Because everyone's been hacked. Like, you give me your name and your email address, primary, I can probably find your phone number for 50 cents. Really? I mean, if you ever talk with, really high-end level CTOs from really high-end level custodians, fiduciaries of banks, they'll tell you, it's not secure. So anyway, Bitcoin is secure. These public blockchain companies like ours that we're built now, so we've got working business model, strategy, tech, DApp on the smartphone with her. The beautiful thing is that the network secures our software. So by having a consensus, there is no central authority. And so, as opposed to Microsoft or Oracle or Google or SAP or Apple or whoever, any centralized software company has a central authority for sending the security keys, and they can print them like a central bank can print currency. It's just an infinity amount. And because they're a central authority, there's only one place to hack it. So these blockchains, once there's a token offering out, it's like the Big Bang Theory or like Pandora's box. Once it's open, you can't put it back in. It's done. And there's discipline. You can't create more of these tokens, and they're not like shares. Like a board can't just make more of them. You can do buybacks, but you can't create more. So there's some really intrinsic differences that really it's important to think about. So finite, scarcity, so utility. These tokens are keys to software, if they're really public blockchain software, which usually isn't the case. But in the cases that you actually are looking at software, that's a public blockchain. Those tokens represent software access keys, just the same as when you used to have to type in that 16-digit alphanumeric code for Microsoft Windows or Office back in the 90s, and now that goes electronically, those keys, software access keys. So let's zip through the slides here. This is the slide deck for Hercules. So Herc, we had been taking privately, that's not a part of this big announcement. So I unfortunately, I guess I'm grateful to be alive, but I am a citizen of the United States, and that has made our lives very sensitive in terms of regulatory adherence. And I'm very grateful that our regulatory seniors in the United States seem like they've opened up to this idea that there actually are such things as decentralized software called Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're not securities. They're actually software access keys, these Ether and these Satoshis. So that's the other thing too. So the smallest unit in Bitcoin is a Satoshi, 1/100 millionth. It's critical. So it can't get smaller than that. It takes about 12 to 1600 of these Satoshis right now to enter an entry into this Bitcoin blockchain notary public. So every 10 minutes, right? So that's really, really critical to go. So I don't know if we can go through the slide deck. I guess I can just kind of, I'll just cue. Awesome, thank you. So what we've done with her is create this platform to make it really easy for people to tap into the data integrity. So we built this really simple inventory tracking tool as a start. Very much like an SAP tool. The difference is that anything that this tool enters has data integrity. In other words, you can show anyone else, internal, external, someone you've never met before in your life. Could be someone 3 steps above, 3 steps below you in business, and they would know what you're showing them is real. So think about that. They know that you didn't have your accounting staff in the data room the week before you did the data transfer, and they're putting in all these different numbers in their Oracle or SAP or QuickBooks or whatever Sage, whatever they're using. So yeah, I was also an audit committee member of Russell 2000 NASDAQ publicly traded company, a pharmaceutical company called Pernex Therapeutics for 48 months. I was an independent director, so I'm very, very familiar. And I was liable, literally. People's pensions were in. So the truth of the matter is that general accepted accounting principles is the best that we had when we had to custody the trust. And now with public blockchain, you don't have to worry about humans being the custodians of trust or being the arbiters of rules anymore. Now we can let the machines do that now. So that's what really we're tapping into here. So Hercules is a very flat layer. So these public blockchains are trusted, right? You have networks. And so we tap into a series of different networks ultimately that are stable. So there are other public blockchain clouds out there. So like whereas SAP or Oracle have to use their own central cloud because they're already not secure, so the best thing that they can do to make themselves as secure as possible is have everything internally. What does that do? Massive cost structure from an operational standpoint. Everything has to go in-house. They can't outsource other people's clouds, really. So it's very, very limitedly, even if they do it, they've got to go to probably another central cloud provider. So what public blockchain allows is we use a couple initially blockchain clouds. We use one called IPFS, it literally stands for Interplanetary File System. It was financed by a Linux foundation raised called Filecoin last year, $350 million. So these raise sizes now are really getting pretty substantial. So the sizes have doubled this year versus last year. The PricewaterhouseCoopers did a report, and they said that this year the average raise size was 26 million, and the ICO number had doubled. It was like 500 some odd. First half of this year, 530, I think. Last year was 550, all 2017, and I think the average raise size was 13 million last year, and this year it's 26. So just to give a little bit of perspective, an ICO volume, I saw a Forbes article, made up 45% of IPO volume in quarter 2. So just to give you some idea of some of the volume acceleration here, I mean, it's tremendous. So it's really getting institutional level. So getting back to IPFS, IPFS is subsidized by Linux. It's a free cloud, but it's really slow because it's free. It's like going to the airport Wi-Fi, right? Everybody's tapping into it, so it's slow. So we use IPFS for alphanumeric files. It is free, so why not use it? So for small data files like inventory logs, you know, we're typing in text into a spreadsheet, whatever you would, Oracle, SAP. I'm picking on them, I feel bad, but you know, they're kind of the big gorillas in the room. So, and then we use another cloud software called Storage, storj.io, as our initial cloud to store larger files. So Storage is a blockchain cloud. It works kind of like Pirate Bay or BitTorrent, where people can allocate parts of their hard drive space to have files, except the files are stored more like they are like Amazon S3 or Microsoft Azure Cloud, but people get paid storage tokens to use their hard drive space. So if you want to use your, check it out and have a little fun, get storj.io, and you can be part of the storage cloud and get paid for it. You probably have some excess hard drive space laying around, so why not, right? So we use storage. Ultimately, we're a least cost routing protocol. It's like the way your phones work is that the phone will find which way is the cheapest basically to network a call. I don't really use phones anymore, but the VoIP or whatever. So, this is the same. Hercules is a routing protocol and it's a clearing protocol. And ultimately, these tokens are software access keys, remember? And so these tokens are needed to power these different softwares. IPFS is free, it needs no token. Storage needs storage tokens. So Hercules' token, called the HERC, helping eradicate racketeering and collusion, is the acronym. And HERC clears these other tokens. So Hercules has to have some kind of computer. So how do you have a computer in this world? Well, we're lucky. So this group called Ethereum came out about 4.5 years ago and created the world's first decentralized computer. And basically enabled it so that way people like us could create applications on the software. And so we use Ethereum as our first computer. Now there's others out there. There's one called Qtum, there's one called EOS. There's others that are competing. Ultimately, we've got both sets of programmers for both now on staff. We've got 12 programmers in-house, including our CTO who's been with us over a year now. And we just use cost route protocol. So that's the really, really neat thing. Like whereas an SAP or an Oracle or a Microsoft or Google have to work inside their own stack and they have to absorb all of those operating costs 100% of the time. You're very, 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 very flat layer, and then we can just tap into whatever public blockchain softwares we need to tap into. So the way that we authenticate, in addition to whatever decentralized computer, like right now it's Ethereum, but it could be Qtum or EOS eventually, is we authenticate by punching into that Bitcoin notary. And we do that using another one of those intermediary layers, kind of like I talked about Counterparty before and that old platform that we designed, HiGold, 3 years ago. So with Anthem Gold, we use in Hercules how we authenticate the gold bars for Anthem Gold, and ultimately we can do for any product with Hercules, is tying into Factum. So instead of paying maybe 10, 20 US cents right now, and it's gone up to as high as like $50, $80 back in December because of this, that's a whole other story that we can talk about at the booth, but we use this layer that's 1/10 of a penny per kilobyte, and it's the same that we actually charge at Hercules as well. So this group basically serves, kind of think of it like sending a representative into a notary, or maybe a more familiar example to some people, unfortunately, like a class action lawsuit. So having a lawyer that represents a whole group of plaintiffs instead of each person having to pay. So that's kind of what Factum does for Bitcoin. So it aggregates a bunch of people that Factum then ties a cryptographic reference index hash into Bitcoin. And that's basically what all these here hash is and what's hashing power and all this. So all a hash is a reference. Really, it's a cryptographic reference. So in other words, it's a reference that only if you really know what the reference is referring to, then you know what it's pointing to. But once you know what it's pointing to, then you know other places. It's like a path. It's like a maze. Think of it like a labyrinth. So that's what these reference points are. And so that's how public blockchain works. It's a bunch of these reference hashes. And so Hercules enters a reference hash, ultimately into Ethereum, ultimately into Factum, ultimately right now into storage and IPFS, and over time we could use other public blockchains. So like EOS, Qtum for processing storage, you could use Coin, maybe Mega Upload, who knows? I'm sure there'll be many, many other solutions that will be out there. So we're basically solving, we realized by accident, what the World Trade Organization calls world export, which they peg at about $15 trillion market. Literally, the biggest problem in business is data integrity, is people across the table, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be like Jack Ma and Tim Cook talking it out, and they show each other their spreadsheets and their PDFs, and they can't trust it. There's no way they can, even with the best technology software, there's no way that they can prove to the other person unless they tie into Bitcoin or some public blockchain. But the thing with Bitcoin is it gives us that assurance of 9.5 years. The other public blockchains don't. And literally, if Bitcoin were a country, it now ranks number 39 in the world in terms of energy consumption. about 230 jurisdictions, literally all their military, industrial, commercial, residential. We're talking substantial countries on this list that Bitcoin has passed up. That's how powerful the database is. So that's why we choose to push into not only Ethereum, but also into Bitcoin. So let's keep going. Yeah, so we talked a lot about that. We use right now, IPFS Ethereum storage and Factum. So we are a true utility token. What is really a true utility token? We are a software access key. It's a software. The key is absolutely essential to powering the software. Nothing else works for it. It is a software access key. That's not to say that other token models aren't awesome. They really are. We are in the Bitcoin Ethereum category as a protocol type layer. So we're doing proof of work as well, although we're doing it in a little bit of a different way. We're doing proof of work of humans playing video games. We decided not to try to compete with Bitcoin head-to-head in electricity because we think that that story ends kind of like a little locomotive kind of getting run over by a massive train, basically. Because eventually the game theory plays out that the Bitcoin miners will push all the other miners that are mining electricity out of the cheapest rack space and the cheapest electricity. So we choose proof of work of humans, because really what you're doing when you're doing proof of work is you're stopping really the attack in tech, which is spam, or mimicking messaging basically of some sort. So really what you're trying to do when you're doing some kind of proof of work, like think Google CAPTCHA. I am not a robot, click these buses, click these street signs, click these cars. That's Google's way of forcing you to play a boring game. We don't have the luxury of having Google's reach, so we have to actually make it fun, get people outside of even using our supply chain software, kids around the world playing video games. We pay them. Their human action proves to us that they're human beings, and that helps automate the audit process. Right now it's not as big of a deal because Ethereum only runs about 30 transactions per second, but probably by this time next year it'll be over 1,000. And so as the use cases and hopefully EOS and Qtum will further mature. So as there's maturation, all of a sudden now there's a matter of how much can you really audit this information. So you have to really take samples still. You don't want to expend massive amounts of this token wealth, but you still want to gather some kind of statistical sample. So we'll zip through this here. This is a big announcement, so this is really cool. By the SEC saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, our council told us a few weeks ago that we can announce our public token offering, which is massive. So we've been doing a private offering since we finished the white paper in May. This is literally the first time I've ever announced in public, anywhere, media, any event, anything that we're doing a token offering public. So that is a big, big deal. We're doing a bonus round of $70 million valuation. We're going out at $140 million valuation. Just to put it in perspective, IOTA, which would be our comp, doesn't have a business model or business strategy in the sense that they don't really have any clients using this model, and they're valued speculatively at $2.8 billion right now. I think they're number 9 on CoinMarketCap in terms of market capitalization, whereas we've got working strategy, business model, token economics, team, utility, client with the use case, and we have all the gold tech built as well. So we have a history of shipping product again. So this is on our website, Perk.one, if you want to check it out. We actually have a live version of this with the updated token economics in real time. We have a white paper also. We have also white label wallet. So one of the things of interest that we've been having some good conversations with, we are very good at building tech, and we've built a lot of tech. So I've heard already one case here. I know we can build within a matter of probably 2 or 3 weeks, and we probably can build something for you at a third of the price of what you're going to get it somewhere else, probably a third of the time, and we'll basically do it for free if you buy some of the tokens right now. So really what I need is some names, just any kind of name that I can say participated in our raise. And ultimately, the idea is ideally majority controlled companies, because when we're owners, we don't steal from ourselves. So I'm majority controller in all of our companies with my wife, and ultimately I can dictate whatever happens in our organization. I don't have to worry about some kind of game theory with like executives trying to mute me on me with the board somehow. So, you know, anyone out there that wants to secure their supply chain, like we basically can give you kind of the deal of a lifetime, probably. So, you know, please talk with me after that. So we'll kind of zip through this. I did mention we started with gold. There's a little video. I don't know if we'll have time to play it, but okay, great. Let's keep going. So our team, obviously I'm super biased. We do have some pretty big name people on there. A guy named Bill Barhide. He's the founder of a wallet called Opera. They raised $40 million, including last year they raised from Foxconn, 16 million raised that they led, which is the hardware manufacturer as they put together the iPhone. So it's a massive market. We've talked about some of this. Let's keep going. Yeah, SAP, Oracle, JDA, Manhattan. There's some of the big name players. You can see it's a pretty big, hefty revenue. You're talking supply chain software when there's about 40 companies that have material size revenue. So going. My wife and I, wife is the president, and I am the CEO. We're both, you know, you'll find us in a lot of media. Gray Jabisi was supposed to be here, our chief visual officer at the South African government, had other ideas, which is where he's based. And so Logan's our CTO, a Cayman-based company. Yeah, I'm from the US, I live in Puerto Rico now. My wife and I live in Puerto Rico. And our company, Hercules, is a Cayman-based company. We've had offices in Cayman since September. We're now in an awesome downtown location. Blockchain is like the darling of Cayman right now because it's where all the growth is. It's the largest jurisdiction by raise volume, largely because EOS was there and they raised like over $2.5 billion. So yeah, Peter Buckley, he's awesome. He is our third board member. He was a founding angel and had about 12% interest in the BATS exchange, which is I think one of the top 2 or 3 largest in the US now that they're with the CBOE. They went public and then they merged with the CBOE after going public. So yeah, Peter is a great resource. He's in Manhattan, New York. So there's Bill, Andrew Yashkuk, so he's at Factum. He brought in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation into Factum, and he also got US Department of Homeland Security grant. So he also used to work at Storage as their head of hardware integration. So he's great to have on the team. One of the founders of Ethereum, Steve Dapp. Let's keep going. In there, and Kazakhstan. We got Joby as he's a big marketer, and Michael are big marketers. One of our advisory board programmers, and now she's with eBay. She needs a visa, and they were able to comply, so she's in San Francisco living her dream. Dominic was part of the first ICO, Mastercoin, back before Ethereum. There was Mastercoin, so he's helped provide us with some pretty hefty token lists. So that's been awesome. He's with me now. So if we have a chance, there's, I don't know, no video chance, that's okay. You know, there's a video on our website. So the very first use case for Hercules is anthemgold.com. So, and I'm the CEO founder technically of 2 blockchain related companies. One's a pure blockchain software, Hercules, Herc.one. That's the opportunity really in terms of the token buy, in terms of the programming development, where we can program supply chains and give you data integrity. The first use case for this, which is how we stumbled into Hercules again, is anthemgold.com. So there's some cool tech on anthemgold.com as well. You can see the wallet there, download. You can see the video that we were going to play. You can watch it in your own privacy, and at Herc.one, you can see our white paper. You can enter our Discord, which is the big messaging app for tech companies in this space. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And again, if you want to get your free Bitcoin, so you know, the first 25 over, we'll say 25, and the first, we'll get the first 100 bucks. So we'll see how crazy we can make it. Anyway, I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much to the organizers. And do we have time for this, or? Oh, maybe we will have time for this. Okay. I didn't want to go too late, so.
delivery will be signed for and date of receipt will be recorded. To ensure recorded visual verification, the delivery inventory boxes will be carefully opened and all metal will be handled with protective gear on video camera. Next, the metal will be weighed, measured, and sonically tested. Pictures will be taken of the bars from all angles to display and document all 6 sides. Information including the serial number, manufacturer, gross weight, and assay image on the front of the bar will be recorded and saved. The shipping box, metal, and any other items comprising the shipment will be photographed right before the shipment is boxed and sent. The shipping partner, date, and tracking information on the packaged inventory will be photographed. Tracking information for the shipment will be sent to the client. The shipment will be delivered to either a designated shipment drop-off or handed to a representative of the shipping partner at the Amagi shipping offices. Taking inventory of Anthem Gold bars from delivery to the vault is a very detailed and transparent process. Deliveries received by secure personnel will be taken to the vault area, which is then sealed off and access restricted to ensure maximum security. All concerned parties are notified that the bar has been received at the vault and that the Hercules verification process has begun. A certified personnel member opens and handles the package with gloved hands to ensure no residue is left on the bar. Once the bullion is unpacked, the gold bar will remain in view of the cameras at all times, with the bar being held up to the security camera for recorded verification. Pictures of visible identification are confirmed against the original order. The physical serial number of the bar and manufacturer information are added to the Hercules blockchain platform. Next, the XRF analysis testing happens on 5 areas of the bar, and the testing average is saved onto Hercules' decentralized storage system. The certified personnel takes high-resolution pictures of the bars from 3 angles to display all 6 sides, and these images are uploaded into Storage's blockchain cloud storage with image locations indexed by Hercules. The vault door is opened carefully, concealing the combination from cameras, and the bar is held up to a security camera for recorded re-verification. Carefully, the bar is placed in the vault in its assigned placement position within the storage area before locking the vault door and securing the metal. The Hercules network upload is finalized using Herc software access tokens at a cost of $0.001 or a tenth of a penny per kilobyte of data indexed, and the gold bullion is fully verified in an immutable state. All relevant parties are notified upon completion of this process. The surveillance video clips are added to the archive as part of the inventory process, and clips are sent to Anthem Gold HQ to store as a backup. All data held in Anthem Gold and all identical data held in the Storage Blockchain Cloud database are compared using Factom as a notary blockchain service, tying into the Bitcoin blockchain to prove both files are identical in an immutable way, which makes for a perfect file backup process. Once a full bullion bar weighing 1 kilogram is verified by Hercules using Hercs, 1,000 AGLTs are released to the initial buyer of the bar. Anthem Gold, powered by Herc tokens, is a sophisticated yet simple and secure way of electronically buying gold using blockchain technology. It is truly one of the most low-cost and flexible forms of owning gold.
So again, thank you. I don't think I mentioned our scarcity. I didn't mention that. So the token burns kind of like Nether does. It's 234,259,085 Herc tokens, market cap. 50 million pre-raise, 10 million crowd sale. First 10 million left. We've done 2.5 million already. Privately, it is a 100% bonus, and it goes 50 the next 10. The next 27.5 is 25%, and we go out public at $140 million valuation at 60 cents a token. So if you're interested, it's an awesome time to approach me. We're still private with technically. We'll have the portal done public August 14th. Probably our information institutionalized another 2-3 weeks after that, which is probably when we'll go public. But this is my first announcement. We are going public with the token offering for Herc, so thank you all. And if you want to learn about Bitcoin, there's no obligation there. I'll help you set up a secure wallet. So Proton Mail and blockchain app. So, and I own nothing in either of those 2 organizations. So just for full disclosure. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks to the organizers. And yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hayek. I request Mr. Wong from Vintera to present a memento to Mr. Hayek. Our next presentation for today is titled as Tolar, Passionate. Beyond blockchain technology, and to present this, we have with us Mr. Mario Wojwoda, CIO Tolar. Mr. Wojwoda, having over 15 years of international work experience